All right, welcome back. Thank you for coming to this Chinese New Year edition of Storytime with Mr. Zhou. Tonight, in celebration of the New Year, we will dive into the story of Nian, the monster Nian. Let us begin. Chinese New Year is the oldest traditional festival in China, but few people know the origin and story behind the holiday. Many existing customs and activities of the festival actually can be traced back to a popular story of Monster Nian, which helps explain why and how the festival is celebrated. According to the ancient Chinese legend, in ancient time, there was a ferocious monster named Nian, with sharp teeth and horns. Secluding itself in the dark sea for a long time, the beast would go on shore at the end of the lunar year and hunt people and livestock in the village. At first, the villagers resisted, fighting back against the ferocious beast. But it was to no avail. They had to resort to their final choice, to appease Nian before he goes on another hungry rampage.
I'm hungry!
Therefore, every time before New Year's Eve, the villagers would lead a sacrifice in order to save the monster. Leaving the sacrifice in the village, the crowd fled to remote mountains to avoid Nian's attack, only to return to their home in shambles. Things took a turn one New Year's Eve, when all the dwellers were scrambling to prepare for the return of the beast. The village welcomed a strange old man. With silver hair and bright piercing eyes, he was a beggar in rags, walking with a stick of majestic, wise sage. The old beggar introduced to the village an alternative. Instead of having to leave a sacrifice for the beast, the man taught the village to make an imitation made of just rice. The villagers no longer had to suffer losses of livestock. They just had to use plain old rice to satisfy the beast. Year by year, the villagers would come together to make this rice cake, which is named after the monster to come, Nian Gao. The beast, thinking that the rice cake was fresh livestock, left the village full and fed. The old man was deemed a hero among the villagers. But as they turned to celebrate his success, he disappeared into the cold winter night. More than 80 years passed. The villagers slowly forgot the old man, yet they kept the tradition of making Nian Gao during the New Year's. Year after year, the beast was satisfied from these rice cakes alone. However, one year, the Nian decided to monitor the village from the mountains before his annual hunt. It saw them pounding rice, crafting it to create an imitation sacrifice. Nian was enraged and immediately descended into the village in a frenzy, attacking the village and its people more fiercely than it had ever before. The village again fell into a state of misery and disarray. However, just a year later, the same old beggar came just as he did some 80 years past. This time, though, the villagers were too busy preparing for the beast's onslaught. The old man's words fell on deaf ears. The old man's words fell on deaf ears. Drowned in great panic, villagers shut their doors and windows and packed their parcels and life necessities. Everything was in a state of chaos, and no one cared about the visitor. Only one person recognized this old man. A granny from the east of the village knew the man to be the same one who saved her village when she was a child. She came, bringing him some food to feed the old beggar. She repeated the newfound terror of the monster Nian and persuaded him to flee together with others. However, the old man kept his cool and smoothed his whiskers slowly, requesting to stay just one night in the old woman's house, and he would expel away the horrible beast. The granny was not fully convinced of his promise. She knew that his previous plan massively backfired, and she continued her persuasion. However, the old man did not change his mind, and having no other alternative, the woman left and escaped to the mountain alone. At midnight, the monster broke into the village, but there was a subtle change in the atmosphere. In the past, the entire village was in dead silence and complete darkness. But at that time, a single house in the east was lit up. Approaching the house slowly, Nian found the doors and windows pasted with red papers and many candles lit inside the house. The beast trembled and squalled, glaring at the strange things. Finally, caught by rage and irritation, it swooped to the front door. Almost as if on cue, the old man, clad completely in red, came to confront the Nian monster.
You! Shut up! Ha!
Immediately, a loud cracking sound was heard. The old man set off bamboo fireworks, laid in a trap for the unknowing foe. The old man, roaring with laughter, taunted the vile creature. The Nian was gravely frightened and fled through the dark night. The next day arrives, and the villagers returned back to their tribe, surprised at their undamaged village. It dawned on the old granny that the relief from the Nian came from the old man's promise. She hastened to tell the other villagers and told them about the beggar's commitment. Wanting to see the truth for themselves, all the people flocked to the old granny's house, only to find the red papers on the doors and windows, candles in the house, and the burnt bamboo in the courtyard. Soon, villagers were enlightened by the truth that bamboo cracking, red color, and bright light were magic keys to scare away the monster. In order to celebrate the triumph of the monster, people dressed in new and visited neighbors to share the joy. On every New Year's Eve, people would paste red string couplets, light candles, burn bamboos, and later set off fireworks to ward off all the evil spirits. The entire village and town were ablaze with lights, and people would stay up to welcome the new year. Many of the traditions are inherited still today. According to the story, Chinese New Year Day, or the Spring Festival, is also called Guo Nian, which means surviving in the Nian's attack. Red became the most popular color for festival celebration and dressing code. The traditions kept through the years. Thank you for coming to this session of Storytime with Mr. Zoe. All right, thank you everyone. As everyone knows, this is our last year of PA Banquet as seniors. So this year was a really special year. Some of you may have known that we kind of went through the calendar. So we started from the Lantern Festival, we went into the Dragon Boat Festival, into the Valentine's Day, into the Mid-Autumn Festival, into the Winter Solstice, and finally back around to where we are now, Chinese New Year. And I think it's a really special thing for us seniors to be able to celebrate a tradition that our parents and our ancestors have celebrated before. And so in honor of the new year, the year of the pig, 我们大家给你们拜年！